Welcome to the Witches Healing Podcast. This is a show that helps you get back to the basics of your spiritual journey. I am your host, Moonstone Energy, spiritual wellness coach, and entrepreneur. I am here to show you that the way out is within. Now let's get into this episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Witches Healing Podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that doesn't get much light, and it really should, because this is a part of your spiritual development, and that something is spiritual ranking. So today I want to talk about my experiences with others that were ranked, that I knew for a fact were ranked, and those that were not ranked, but had all of the spiritual prowess of one that was a part of the spiritual hierarchy that does exist. And I also wanted to speak on a few of my personal experiences with those sets of people. So let's just get right into it. So, spiritual hierarchy or spiritual ranking, they are synonymous. Just as we would rank someone of a certain caliber or a certain status in society, right? Or have official titles like governor or senator, that sort of thing. Those titles don't exist in the spiritual realm, but energetically, it can be felt, right? So when it comes to the spiritual realm, the hierarchy in spirit is much greater than any other title that another human can give to another by way of a job position, right? And that position within spirit, it holds a lot of value because spirit bestows it onto the individual at birth. And it can be given to anyone, like literally anyone. I don't know if you've ever seen any videos of children that their parents will ask them certain questions and then they'll answer basically like they've been here on this planet before. Like they know different things about the parent that they couldn't possibly know because they weren't even conceived yet. So I strongly believe that when it comes to children, I mean, of course, children are innocent. Children, they're so precious. And I believe that a lot of children are a lot of children are gifted from birth, right? But you can tell a child's gift when they are born, when they start talking, when they, in their formative years, you can see they're going to display different gifts as they get older. And of course, children, they're not going to necessarily think anything of it because, of course, they're kids. They eat, sleep, play, and that's it. That's all that matters, right? So I believe strongly that when spirit blesses you with any form of a gift, that it is bestowed upon you at birth. And it doesn't matter what your social status is in this realm, what your bank account looks like, you have power greater than what most humans would believe has power. You are more powerful than what would be considered powerful by normal social standards. Okay. So my whole thing is when it comes to a lot of different spiritual, let's say groups, covens, that sort of thing, we're big on titles, right? And I'm not saying that people with those titles don't have power, okay? Because of course, a lot of them have put a lot of work in, not just financially, right? But also spiritually. They've been working with whatever spirits within that coven, within that spiritual house, with their godparents, that sort of thing. They've been working for that title or that calling for a very long time. So this is not to discredit any of those things. But what I am saying is that when it comes to certain spaces, some people look at these titles that they either give themselves or that they receive through ceremony as a gateway for an inflamed ego. And then they typically try to use that as a way to exploit other people. And that's a problem. So, with that being said, just know that your money, your dollars, whatever, whatever you call your currency in your country is no good when it comes to the spiritual realm, when it comes to spirit, right? So your spiritual rank cannot be bought. It can only be cultivated over time. And the ones that are anointed with such gifts from spirit, their energy can shift other people that come into contact with them, and it could be for better or for worse. And I can say this from my own experiences. A lot of people may not understand this, but when people that are spiritually ranked, they know that, but they probably don't realize it until much later, like I did. And a lot of things and this isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, you're the chosen one and that crazy. This is not that. I just want to clarify before I move on. Like, oh, you're the chosen one. You're here to save the world. Like, no, this is not that. Please don't do that. A lot of people don't understand that when you are spiritually ranked, you have a pretty hard time, right? I mean, a lot of people have a hard time. But what I'm saying is, in order for your gifts to be cultivated and for you to be pushed in the direction that spirit wants you to go in, you will experience hardships, because ultimately this is a part of your character development. And no, I'm not saying that in order for you to have a good life, you have to go through hell. That is not what I'm saying. You have a good life right now, currently, right? What I'm saying is, and you can validate this for yourself, everything that has happened to you from the time that you were a child up until now, how has that built your character? What parts of your lived experiences has molded you into the person that you are today? And 99.9% of everyone that's listening to this right now can attest to the fact that even though everything that has happened to them thus far was probably 0 out of 10, and they probably most definitely wouldn't recommend, okay? They wouldn't recommend it, but at any rate, it still helped them to become, and it pushed them to becoming the one that they should be, the person that they are today. I can attest to that, especially with everything that I've experienced growing up. Yeah. We're not trauma dumping, but yeah, it was a little tough. And that's to say the least. This is going to assist you in building your character so that you can become the person that spirit is pushing you to become. And in regards to your energy and your presence, this is something that is felt, okay? People will either gravitate towards you. Babies will love you. Kids gravitate towards you. Animals love you, right? Other people tell you all of their business and without even asking. Like, you ask them and you definitely don't want to know their business, but people naturally gravitate. And there is some science to this. But when it comes to this anointing, this is something that is felt on an energetic level. Just like you can feel if someone, has the it factor, right? They have the confidence, they have the this, they have the that. You can tell if someone has those things just by looking at them and sizing them up in an instant, right? So it's the same thing with your anointing. And like I said, it could either draw in people or repulse people, because normally people that are highly ranked, they make people they annoy people because they are a literal mirror to all of their failures. And instead of becoming and rising to the occasion, they become cowards and they'll try to pick at you, call you all kinds of names, try to defame your character, try to drag your name through the mud. That is a very telling indicator of what your gifts do to other people and how your energetic signature annoys someone else's. And it's sad, but a lot of people don't catch that. A lot of people don't catch that, and I think I personally think that that's pretty interesting. And another thing, when we talk about ranking, spiritual hierarchy, um, these individuals, like I said, they bring out their mirror when it comes to these people, and it reveals their shortcomings. And even with it revealing their shortcomings, that's just what spirit blessed you with, right? So it's kind of hard to for this kind of person that is ranked high on the spiritual hierarchy. It can be difficult for them to find their people, find people of their ilk, if that makes sense. Because even though, of course, we know that there's someone out there for everybody, right? There's someone that matches you and is on the same level as you, where you would feel comfortable with or can learn from and all the things. So it it can be difficult for people that are highly ranked, and they are, of course, even if they have these gifts and this kind of anointing, they are still subject to life as being a human, right? Like we all are humans. So just because we have one foot in the spiritual realm and one foot grounded doesn't mean that we have to be fully immersed into the spiritual realm, because we can lose sight of what's going on in the here and now. We still have a car note to pay. We still have rents that's due. We still have to get groceries. We still have to take care of our responsibilities. So there has to be a balance in that. So you're going to go through the ebbs and flows of life no matter what. That's a part of the lived human experience. And many of them that experience these hardships are forced to, like I mentioned before, they're forced into situations that will build their character and push them towards their healing that they probably didn't realize that they need, or were avoiding it altogether. And one thing that I do want to say in regards to spiritual hierarchy, like this is kind of, for some people, it's kind of a touchy subject, because it's like, oh, you think you're better than me? Like, I mean, I don't think that, spirit does. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't, like, this is something that I was gifted with. What do you want me to do about this? You know? So it's one of those things. People are so weird. People are funny. Humans are funny. Um, People do not like to feel like they are the outcast. They like everyone to be on the same even plane as them, so they don't feel like they have to do more. That is what I would like to call, or what they usually call it, a crab in a bucket mentality. I don't want you to be better than me, because if you're better than me, that's going to make me look like I'm a loser. Technically, depending on the circumstance, let's just talking about accomplishments thus far. You could be a loser. It happens. You may have taken L's and probably haven't recovered at all. And that it happens. It's okay. We all have taken an L or two in life, but you have to rise to the occasion. You have to do better. You have to, become. And if we're talking from a spiritual perspective, everyone has an elder, and and the crazy thing is, a lot of people believe, and and if you ask me, it has a lot to do with ageism. A lot of people are more receptive of wisdom and knowledge that either comes from a man or comes from an older woman. Now, if there's someone that is within their age group, that looks like them, same age, we graduated the same year, they will feel repulsed by it. They may even be dismissive of it because how is it that you know all of this and we're the same age? Like, no, we didn't go to the same school, but I should know this too. So they get offended. And I think that is such a funny thing. Just because we are the same age, right? Graduated the same year, college, high school, whatever, that doesn't mean that we still have the same lived experiences, nor does it mean that we had the same education level. That's another thing. And education doesn't even have to be formal education. It could be spiritual education that Spirit gives you. Spirit is going to lead you towards your person, your teacher, your mentor. And I want to get into that when it comes to when I met someone that was ranked. Now, and I talk about this with her all the time. I haven't seen her in a while, but when we talk about someone that is a mentor, for me, that person, they may not even call themselves all of the titles, the formal titles that we may call each other. Like, I am the Ayanifa, or I am the Mambo, or whatever title, the high priestess. It's all the high priestess in a different language, mind you. But anyway, they may call themselves that, but when I personally meet someone that I know has a soul of a teacher and has wisdom of a teacher, and they probably don't even look at themselves that way. I look to them for guidance, and it does not matter how old they are. And the woman that I'm speaking of, I would say she's probably about 6, 7 years older than me. And there was a time back in, I would say 2020, 2020 to 2021. That entire time span was me gaining wisdom, gaining knowledge from her. And the funny thing is, I don't know if she understands how powerful the things that she has helped me with was, the impact that it had on my life. I don't think she understands the weight of it because it actually helped me get through a lot of the things that I was going through at that time. And it also assisted me into seeing my blind areas and correcting the issues that was left behind by someone that did actually call themselves like a spiritual coach or a spiritual guru, whatever you want to call it. And they were online. And I think that is the funniest thing. I get all the wisdom and the guidance and everything that I need. Spirit knew that this person needed to be in my life for the time period that I needed them in, while dealing with someone that that are a currently self-proclaimed spiritual teacher. Irony is what that is. And the funny thing is, like I said, a lot of people claim rank and hierarchy and all the things because it looks good online. They have great marketing, they have great this, they have great that. But when it really comes down to the nitty gritty, the nittiest of the gritty, they fumble, they falter. Why is that? And what I think is so crazy, the person in question, they had their own personal work to do. Now, I'm not saying that just because you are, like I said, you are ranked and all the things, but you still have human experiences. You still have to go through life as a human, ebbs and flows of life. This teacher, self-proclaimed teacher, she still had work to do that she was avoiding herself. Now, I am a spiritual teacher. I have my own podcast that you're listening to. I have my own books. I have my own ecosystem. But that does not negate the fact that I still need to do my own personal work. I still need to do the things in order for me to be deemed fit by spirit to continue the work that I'm doing now. I can't tell you, you need to go meditate, you need to go pray, you need to go and, do all the things. And I'm sitting here and not doing any of the things. Altar just as dusty as it wants to be. Water just as cloudy as it wants to be. Like, I have to do my work. I have to do all the things. We still have to take time for ourselves. We can't forget and we cannot forsake ourselves. However, we still have things that we need to take care of spiritually. So take your breaks. That was cute and all, but you have to come back. You have to come back. You have to do what you need to do because that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? Now, when it comes to, like I mentioned, you go through the ebbs and flows of life. And of course, it's going to test your character. But this is the thing, though. With those specific tests that spirit throws at you, it could either increase your rank or it can decrease it. So when we're talking about the different issues, so for example, I'll use myself. There was a time and period in my life where I was going through it with an old friend group. And one thing that spirit does is, and I'll quote a Bible verse here. Don't ask me which verse it is because I can't think of it right now. But it says, I will prepare a seat at the table in front of your enemies. And that was the truest of the truest of the true. And when I tell you, this old friend group, everything always comes back to me. So my gifts, they vary. But one of my gifts are dreams, dream work. My dreams can be as silly as anything, like zombie apocalypse silly, to something so vivid and so tangible that I will wake up and it feels real. So there was a time I had a dream about an old friend. I had a dream that they were gossiping about me, and I was on the phone with them, and it was crazy. And it felt so real. And mind you, this person, they lived within a couple of feet of me. So when I woke up, I was about ready to go across those 500 feet and knock on that door because what do you mean you said this? But the funny thing is, spirit, like I said, spirit will reveal everything to you in due time. Spirit revealed to me that this person was gossiping behind my back, on the phone was talking about me with their siblings, um, all kinds of things. And Spirit also showed me what was going to happen to them and what was happening to them because of the breakdown within our friendship. And I thought it was so fascinating because I've never seen anything like it. And mind you, when everything was falling apart, I literally said, I think at the time I had just built my altar space. And of course, I was in my deconstructing process from Christianity. I said, God, I don't have the strength to leave this person right now. As much as I don't want to be around them, I don't have the strength to do it. Can you please remove them for me? And literally within minutes, I would say probably a minute or not even a whole minute, a minute and a half of me saying that out of my mouth, that person blocked me. And I said, whoa, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Oh my God. I kid you not. That's another thing. That's another reason why I am so careful with the words that I speak. I do not play with the words that come out of my mouth. If I ever say anything vile, just know that I mean it with my heart, my chest, my soul, and everything in me. I watch my mouth. There is life and death in the tongue. And I can tell you another time where I manifested a car accident for myself, but we won't get into that. But I'm just going to tell you that my words have power. That is my superpower, okay? But yeah, I watch my mouth all the time. But spirit, like I said, always will always show you the results of your test. And they will always be looking at how you react during said test. So they're not saying that you have to be a perfect, pretty princess or nothing like that, but they want you to practice mindfulness and to be aware of the situation and choose differently the next go round. If it were to ever happen again, or if a situation were to ever come up where your integrity may be tested, those sorts of things, that is what makes or break you during those moments. And people glaze over it like it doesn't matter, but eventually you're going to see how it does matter and what you the impact of you failing those tests is actually going to look like. All right. So it's very important to be mindful of how you respond to those tests that spirit gives you. And another thing when it comes to those that have rank in spirits, right, is that a lot of people see them as weird. They're the weirdos, the ones that are the social outcasts. Those are the real life saviors. If you want to get technical, think about Jesus. Jesus was an outcast. Jesus was flipping tables and doing all the things. And he was seen as a weirdo. Okay. I mean, that story of Jesus can go in, left or right. But anyway, Jesus was seen as a weirdo. A lot of spiritual leaders are seen as weirdos. That's like the that's like the standard. That's the initiation, the rite of passage. You got to be a weirdo. But they're always seen as such, but they are literally rare, a rare commodity. And another thing I want to say in regards to these kinds of people is that they need to be mindful of who they engage with. Because being around certain people can compromise your safety and both your energy. So you have to be mindful when you are dealing with those kinds of people. And you'll know what those quote unquote air quotes here, those kinds of people are. You're going to feel who they are. If you are gifted, people like to call them an empath. If you are clairsentient, you will know these kinds of people. There was a moment in time where my dad, when he was alive, he was dating this woman that was just god awful. Okay. God awful. I overheard a conversation that he was having with her, and she didn't like me, and she never met me a day in her life. And I felt so weird. And as soon as she pulled up, my radar went off, and I felt every nasty bit of energy she was sending my way. And as soon as she got out that car, oh my God, hi, how are you? Oh my God, it's so good to meet you. Let me tell you, wolf in sheep's clothing. That woman was evil, was and is evil. Was and is evil. That's crazy. But people love to do that. And I think it's so crazy. You cannot, one thing that people do not understand, amongst other things, right, is that you cannot fake a spiritual person. They're going to call it before you even get there, before you even open your mouth to say hello. They're going to know you by the fruit that you bear and by the energy that you come with. And that's just what it is. I can tell you about another time when I was at their house and my dad, he was like, "Where's my sugar at?" Like, that's how he always said that. I gave him a kiss on his forehead, and I guarantee you, and I cannot make this up, as soon as I did that, I stood up and I felt this beam on my back. Like it was the strongest. I felt really uncomfortable. And when I tell you, I turned around and that woman was giving me the biggest scowl of her life. I was just like, wow. And you like, how old are you now? Like, how are you jealous of his children? Yeah, that's a whole nother story. An entirely different story. But that is so crazy. People think that people that aren't a part of a specific domination, when we're talking about Christianity, religion, that sort of thing, they believe that just because they do not subscribe to that group, that for some odd reason they do not have gifts, they do not have this, they're out here without anything, which is the furthest from the truth. And I think that that's so interesting. So interesting. My gifts go with me no matter if I decide tomorrow if I want to become a religious woman. It does not matter. My gifts were given to me by spirit, and they're going to stay with me until I cross over into the afterlife. They will never leave me because it was given to me. Okay? It was given to me. You cannot take away that which was given. This is not man-made. This is high above anything that we could possibly imagine. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Make sure that you come back for a part 2 where I'm going to discuss ways to increase your rank. And make sure that you also check out the listen notes to this podcast episode, which will be attached. And make sure that you're following me on all of my platforms at moonstone_energy on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and on TikTok at moonstone_energy0. And make sure you come to the ecosystem. Visit me at moonstoneenergy.com to get everything that you need for your spiritual needs and your altar. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye. The next time you hear from me, let's say the next episode, you'll be one step closer to your highest self, one step closer to stepping into your divine energy and in complete flow. And so it is. Pache.